أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أشهد أن عليا ولي الله صلوات الله عليه وآله وسلم. أشهد أن عليا حجة الله عليه الصلاة والسلام. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. اللهم اجعل قلبي بارا مبلي سارا ويسي كارا ورزقي دارا والعادي برارا وجعل قبر النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم مستقرا وقرارا برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين. صلوا على محمد وعلى محمد.
تعجل فرجهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى. نحمده ونستعينه ونثني عليه ونؤمن به ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف بريته ومبلغ رسالاته العبد المؤيد الرسول المسدد المحمود الأحمد أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله. We begin inshallah this first Friday khutbah by reminding all of you and myself to maintain the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We brought up the next mistake that we typically make when it comes to incorporating shukr and thankfulness into our lives. And that was the idea and the issue of imperfect blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We said that when we look into our lives, the blessings that we see from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are all in one shape or form or another. They all come with deficiencies, they all come with flaws, they all come with issues. And if I could count how many people were surprised when I brought up this topic, because many of us are taught when we are growing up that the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are perfect. You never look at the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and speak about their flaws. Islam, brothers and sisters, is not a religion that wants you to turn your eye away from reality. Islam is a religion that teaches you you are to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while looking at the realities of life. It's not a feel-good religion. It's not the type of religion that tells you, no, there's no problems, everything is good, everything is fine. Don't be upset, don't be angry, don't be sad. Our Prophet didn't live his life like this, yes? Islam is a religion that says with that sadness, you are to be thankful. Islam is that religion that says with the problems, there is reason to be hopeful. This is Islam. So why the Quran says, Inna ma'al usri yusra. With the difficulty, it comes ease. So Islam is not some feel-good religion that tells us to deny the realities of life. No. Islam says, look at the realities of life. With those realities, with the negativity, with the flaws, with the issues, still you can look at the world and have a divine understanding of the world. Still you can have a divine worldview. This is Islam. This principle I'm mentioning has impacts in many different theological discussions. Many different theological discussions. There are times people say, for example, when you talk about God's justice, and how there's evil in this world. There will be people who will say, no, there isn't much evil. It's not so much of a problem. Alhamdulillah, this. No, this is a world that's full of evil. There's a lot of evil in the world today. Look at all the injustices that are happening in the world today. Islam's not a religion that sits there and says, no, there's nothing wrong. Everything is fine. No, everything is not fine. There is evil in the world, but Islam says even with that evil you can look at it and still walk away with a divine worldview. Still walk away with your belief and with your faith. Your faith and your belief, it is not in contradiction with the evil that you see in the world. This is the religion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought for us. And this is why Islam is a religion that inshallah will continue throughout the years. Because it's not a feel-good religion. It's a religion that's tied in with reality. Is intertwined with reality. Nowhere in the Quran does God say, don't look at the world around you. Don't observe the things around you. Yeah, close your eyes. Isolate yourself in a bubble. Never does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say this. He always says, لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. If they would think a little bit, if they would ponder a little bit, if they would put thought into what they're doing a little bit, this is what Islam draws us to. So we look into our lives and we find in our lives the imperfect blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We said that we are still to be thankful because of these imperfect blessings for a number of reasons. Number one, the first reason is you are not entitled even to that imperfect blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is number one. We talked about it last week. Point number two, which is what we discussed a little bit, and that is that you are living in a world and in a realm that cannot contain the perfect blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Recite the salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Did you want to turn it up more? One more salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. You and I are living in a world where everything is imperfect. The material world that we live in is a world of limitations. It is a world where everything has a hadd. Everything is measured. In fact, one of the characteristics of matter, of madda, is what? Is that it can be measured. You can measure it. So anything that can be measured is essentially limited. This is the world that we live in. We live in a limited world. And in this limited world, we're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where is my perfect blessing? Where is that house that never ends? Where is that car that will run forever? Where is that child that has everything that I want him to have? Where is that spouse that has every characteristic that I want him to have? No, this is, you're looking in the wrong place. This is not the place for all of this. And in fact, what you find is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He looks at the blessings in this world, He doesn't consider these blessings to be His main blessings. It's almost as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sprinkled some of His blessings here or there in this world. The rest of it has to come somewhere else. It's not going to come here. And this is why you find narrations saying that if God really cared about the blessings in this world so much, He would have never given from these blessings to the most evil people who live in today's world. If these blessings were the real deal, the wealth, the fame, the connection, beauty, whatever you want to think about, yes? If this was the real deal, He wouldn't have given it to people who misuse it, people who are the most evil people on earth sometimes, yes? The very fact that He's given to those people shows that these are not the real blessings. These are a little bit of the sprinkling that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done. The real blessings, they are to come later. And this was something that was difficult for the people around the Prophet to understand. Because for them, they looked at the blessings in this world as the main blessings. Then they looked at the Prophet. Here's the Prophet. He's living the life of, based on our standards, the life of a poor person. Not a modest lifestyle. You and I say about the Prophet modest lifestyle. It was not a modest lifestyle. This was the life of a poor person. This is the life of the person who doesn't have a place to sleep. It's the life of a person who during the day doesn't have much to eat. This is how the Prophet used to live his life. This is how our first Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. This is how they used to live their lives. It was the type of life that if you and I looked at it, we would have said, this is the life of the weakest person within this society. So people looked at this life and they saw none of these apparent blessings and they said, Ya Rasulullah, how are you the messenger of God? How does this make sense? So the narration says, it's a powerful story from the wife of the Prophet. She is having a conversation with the Prophet. Nama Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi ala hasirin. The Prophet used to sleep on a hasir. Hasir means what you put together from some pieces of wood, some pieces of the palm tree. You put it together. Sometimes you tie it together with some string, yes, so that you can just sleep on it. It's only one level better than sleeping on the ground. That's basically what it is. Nama ala hasirin. فَأَثَّرَ فِي جَنْبِهِ. So it would leave marks on the body of the prophets. فَقَالَتْ لَهُ عَائِشَةَ. The wife of the Prophet said, Ya Rasulullah, هَذَا كَسْرَى. This is the Caesar of Rome. وَقَيْسَرْ. Yes, فِي مُلْكٍ عَظِيمٍ. This is the Kisra of Persia, yes, and the Qaisar of Rome and the Caesar of Rome. They are living their lives with the ultimate blessings. They are living their lives in the castles, in the kingdoms, and all. And here you are. This is the life you're living. You're living on a hasir. You're sleeping on a hasir. Leaves marks on your body. لا شيء لك تنام على الحسير وتلبس الثوب الرديء. And the clothing you wear is not the best of clothing either. It's below average. فقال لها رسول الله. So the Prophet responded to her, يا عائشة لو شئت أن تسير معي الجبال ذهبا لصارت. O Aisha, if I wanted the mountains to turn into gold and be placed at my disposal, I could have made that happen. This is the life I chose. It is not the life that I just ended up with. This is the life I chose. If I wanted to have those mountains in gold, I could have had that. وَلَقَدْ أَتَانِي جِبْرَائِيل, and Jibreel came to me, بِمَفَاتِيحِ خَزَائِنِ الدُّنْيَا, he came to me with the keys of the treasures of this world. And he put this in front of me. He put this at my disposal. فَلَمْ أُرِدْهَا, but I didn't want it. What is the Prophet saying? The Prophet is saying, if I don't have from the blessings that other people have in this world, it's not because those blessings are very valuable and I can't get my hands on it. It's that they're not very valuable to begin with. They're not even that special to begin with. If I wanted to, I could have had it, but they're not that special anyways. The beauty is not that special anyways. It fades away before you know it. The wealth, you think it's a really big deal, the Prophet says. In reality, you live in that wealth for 6 months, a year. After 6 months of the year, you're like, oh, it wasn't as big as I thought it was. Yes? The connections, the fame, you're the one who idolizes it and glamorizes it. Once you live through it a little bit, then you realize, it wasn't such a big deal anyways. It wasn't God's greatest blessing anyways. It's no problem to ask for these blessings. Yes? But Islam is trying to tell us, listen, there's deeper things in life. Life meaning not just here, the next world too. So then he continued. He said, Irfa'i al-hasir. Turn to Aisha. Aisha, lift the hasir. Yes? Lift this thing that he was sleeping on. Irfa'i al-hasir. She says, فَرَفَعَتْهُ. So she lifted it. فَإِذَا تَحْتَ كُلَّ زَاوِيَةٍ مِّنْهَا قَضِيبٌ مِّن ذَهَبٍ. She says, when I looked under this hasir, in every corner of it, there was gold. There were coins of gold in every corner of it. فَقَالَ, so the Prophet turned to me and said, أُنظُرِي إِلَيْهَا يَا عَائِشَةَ. Take a good look at this gold, Aisha. إِنَّ الدُّنْيَا لَا تَعْدِلُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ مِنَ الْخَيْرِ قَدْرَ جَنَاحَ بَعُودَةٍ. Take a good look at these golden coins and know this, that the blessings that God has in this dunya, they're not worth for him even the amount of the size of the wing of a fly. The wing of a fly, which is like the smallest thing you can picture. Not worth it. So she says, I put down the hasir and the gold was never seen again. What is the Prophet trying to say? The Prophet is trying to say the blessings in this world, if you get your hands on them, great, no problem. You don't get your hands on them, you don't have to kill yourself over it. Either way, these are not the great blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, you and I have to work hard. We get by. We have many people to support. Inshallah, I'll talk about this later, especially for you and I living in this part of the world. It's not just about paying our own bills. There are many people who are in need in today's world. But Quran and Hadith is saying, listen, don't glamorize it. Don't sit there and think if you get that, you've made it in life. No. All the blessings we have here, they are not the real blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anyway. So when you come across imperfect blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this world, know that it is the nature of this world. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessings for you waiting somewhere else. And this is what he talks about in Surah Al-Zukhruf. And this is why Surah Zukhruf is called Surah Zukhruf. Zukhruf means adornment, when you beautify something. So the verses continue. This is verse 33 from Surah Al-Zukhruf. He says, وَلَوْلَا أَن يَكُونَ النَّاسُ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا. He's trying to tell you how little he thinks about the blessings in this world. How little he thinks about the wealth in this world. He says, وَلَوْلَا أَن يَكُونَ النَّاسُ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا. If it wasn't for the fact that everyone would become a disbeliever. If I wasn't worried about this, I would do the following. He's going to explain what the following is. If I wasn't worried about everyone leaving the faith, لَجَعَلْنَا لِمَنْ يَكْفُرُ بِالرَّحْمَنِ لِبُيُوتِهِمْ سُقُفًا مِّن فِضَّةٍ. If it wasn't for the fact that more people would leave the faith, we would have given to the disbelievers more of the blessings of this world. What is he saying? He's saying the blessings in this world are so little, they're worth so little in my eyes, I wanted to give them more. They want to have gold, let them have gold. They want to have beauty, let them have beauty. They want to have fame, let them have fame, no problem. These aren't my blessings. This is just the smaller ones. I didn't do that because if I had done that, the believers, this is you and I, the believers who are naive would have sat there and said, oh, look at Fulan, look at his life. Look, he's successful in life. I'm not successful in life. your and I faith would have become what? Would have become weak. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I didn't do this. But what was stopping him? Only thing that was stopping him is that it would be too difficult of a test for you and I. Otherwise, the blessing isn't worth much. I would give them more. I don't care. لِبُيُوتِهِمْ سُقُفًا مِّن فِضَّةٍ وَمَعَارِجَ عَلَيْهَا يَظْهَرُونَ. I would have made it such that they go up these stairs from one level of their house to the other level. I don't care. These aren't my real blessings. وَلِبُيُوتِهِمْ أَبْوَابًا وَسُرُرًا عَلَيْهَا يَتَّكِئُونَ. I would have given them thrones in their houses. But the thing is, this is not why I created them. And then look at what he says. Verse 35. وَإِن كُلُّ ذَلِكَ لَمَّا مَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. But all of this is just the short-lived blessings of this world. That's why I don't care about them. They're short-lived. مَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Okay, Ya Allah, so you're saying you can give them more wealth, more silver, more gold. You can make their houses into mansions. They can have ladders in their houses. All of this kind of stuff. So Ya Allah, what about me? I'm a believer. You're saying you're giving this stuff to the disbeliever. Okay, so what about the believer? I'm the believer. It says, وَالْآخِرَةُ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. But when these guys show up for akhirah, no. Akhirah is exclusively for who? Akhirah is exclusively for the believers. Yeah, I can give them from mata'ul hayat ad-dunya. I can give them from the short-lived blessings here. But when they show up over there, no. That's only for who? That's only for those who are obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has in mind for you and I is much greater than all of these. This brings me to point number 3. Whenever you see an imperfect blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you that imperfect blessing for a reason. Either that reason is that if He gives you a better version of that blessing, you won't be able to handle it. It will impact your faith. Sometimes that is the reason. Sometimes the reason is that He is holding on to more of your reward and your ajr for your akhirah. Sometimes, if He gives you a bigger house, if He gives you a better car, if He gives you more money, if He gives you a better spouse, if He gives you whatever, sometimes you won't be able to handle it. It will get the best of you. You say, no, if He had just given to me, I'm different, I can control myself. He's already giving you some things you can't control. He's already given you a little bit of fame He gives you, and you lose yourself. He's already given you a little bit of wealth, and you don't give from your wealth. Yes? He's already given you a little bit of beauty, and you misuse your beauty. Now imagine if He gave you 10 times what you have already. You wouldn't be able to control it. You wouldn't be able to hold back. Sometimes this is the reason. Sometimes the reason is you can control it, but He's not giving you everything because He wants to keep more of your reward for where? For your akhirah. None of these points are implying that you and I should not work hard in this dunya. No. I will tell you, and we'll talk about this more later on, the Muslim community. In general, Shias as part of that greater Muslim community, we have done a very bad job at placing ourselves in places of power, of authority, of wealth, of planning, of strategizing, of investing in our future. We've done a terrible job with this. I'm the first one to tell you. Yes? So this is not talking about this. I'm saying even if we did amazing on everything, still the blessings of this world are always imperfect. And these are what these points are talking about. This point number 3, inshallah, we'll open it up, but we'll leave that, inshallah, for the following weeks. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجا. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. أثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا. ثم أصلي وأسلم على نجيبه وجليله وحافظ سره الذي سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجهم اللهم صل وسلم على علي أمير المؤمنين وفاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين وعلى سبطي نبي الرحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي المهدي حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في أرضك صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله. We begin the second khutbah by reminding all of you and myself to maintain the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We reached verse 41 from Surah An-Najm, ثُمَّ يُجْزَاهُ الْجَزَاءَ الْأَوْفَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in continuation of the principles that He had placed in the scriptures of the previous prophets, including the scriptures of Musa and the scriptures of Ibrahim, He mentioned a number of principles. The next principle was that whatever the human being does in this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him his jaza in the most complete of ways. And we discussed this last week based on the narration of our sixth Imam, in which the Imam says that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has in mind for the believer is doing ihsan to him. Ihsan meaning you go above and beyond. You don't just return the favor, you go above and beyond in returning the favor. And this is why the verses of the Quran said, everything that the human being does, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a reward for him. That reward is greater than what he assumes. And the verses from Surah Al-Qaf said, then there are blessings that he had never even imagined that he is going to be rewarded with. Yes? لَهُمْ مَا يَشَاءُونَ فِيهَا. They have everything. وَلَدَيْنَا مَزِيد. And then there is extra. What is this extra? This is extra you and I have never even thought about. This is extra. It's never even come to our minds. We've never even imagined it. Okay. The next principle that the Quran moves on to is the following. وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. Verse 42. And that everything returns back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The tadbir, the managing of the affairs of this world, everything in this world, it is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a principle of the Quran we hear about, difficult to believe in. Very difficult to believe in. But this is what the Quran tells us. إِلَيْهِ يُرْجَعُ الْأَمْرُ كُلُّهُ. Everything in this world, at the end of the day, it has to have God's stamp on it for it to go through. Doesn't mean He's happy with everything that happens in this world. Some things He's not happy with them. When you sin, He's not happy with it. But at the end of the day, indirectly, He's given you that free will. And if He wanted to stop it, technically He can. So if He lets it happen, there's some wisdom, there's some reason, there's some philosophy behind it. وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. The next verses started to explain some examples of those things that typically we don't assume that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who's managing the affairs in that regard. But the Quran says, even in that situation, God is managing that affair. So He moves on to verse 43. He said everything is in the hands of Allah, yes? He says, وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ أَضْحَكَ وَأَبْكَى. And He is the one who brings smiles to the faces of people. And He is the one who brings tears to the faces of people. What does this mean? The Quran is saying the smallest emotions that the human being experiences, those smallest moments of sadness, smallest moments of happiness, the Quran is saying even those, we are managing them. So you and I take a look at this verse and say, وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ أَضْحَكَ وَأَبْكَى. He makes people laugh, He makes people cry. No, I saw something sad and I cried. I saw something nice, I smiled. There's no God in this. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, no, I play a role in this. Everything that's going to happen, it has to have my stamp on it. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. This is why sometimes you might see something happy, you may not smile. You might see something sad, you might not have the same reaction. At the end of the day, it's in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Things that you and I don't even assume that we are to attribute to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Quran says, no, I did that. So take a look at these verses. He says, أَفَرَأَيْتُم مَّا تَحْرُثُونَ. Have you guys seen the things that you grow, the crops that you grow? أَأَنْتُمْ تَزْرَعُونَهُ أَمْ نَحْنُ الزَّارِعُونَ. Did you grow them or did I grow them? I grew them. You say, no, I did some work. He says, yeah, you did work. No problem. You'll be rewarded for your effort. Yes? But when you did your work, who put the result there? Who made it happen at the end of the day? You put the seed in the dirt. Yeah? Who made it grow? I made it grow. You say, no, I thought this was just normal. I'm just going to the store to buy some potatoes. I say, yeah, you go to the store, buy your potato. I did it though. أَأَنْتُمْ تَزْرَعُونَهُ أَمْ نَحْنُ الزَّارِعُونَ. Did we put it there or did you put it there? We put it there. So we played a role in this. He continues. He says, أَفَرَأَيْتُمُ الْمَاءَ الَّذِي تَشْرَبُونَ. Have you seen the water that you drink? أَأَنْتُمْ أَنزَلْتُمُوهُ مِنَ الْمُزْنِ أَمْ نَحْنُ الْمُنزِلُونَ. Did you send it down from the skies or did we do that? You're like, but that's such a basic thing. I mean, it's just water. It's just water coming from the skies. You know, you put a bucket there, the water goes in there and I drink it. What's the big deal? He says, yeah, I did that. If you wanted to get water come from the skies, you wouldn't be able to. So I did that one. Okay, no problem. لَوْ نَشَاءُ جَعَلْنَاهُ أُجَاجًا فَلَوْلَا تَشْكُرُونَ. If we wanted to, we could have made it bitter. So why don't you thank me for that? Okay, no problem. He says, أَفَرَأَيْتُمُ النَّارَ الَّتِي تُورُونَ. You ever made fire? Yeah? You make fire. You put your wood into the fire and catches fire and everything like that. أَأَنْتُمْ أَنْشَأْتُمْ شَجَرَتَهَا أَمْ نَحْنُ الْمُنْشِئُونَ. Who made that tree? Did you do it or did I do it? Yes, maybe you prepared the grounds for it. I did it. So the Quran is a big believer that, listen, every little thing that you're doing, there is a stamp of approval on it that I have to put on it. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Even in the things that you and I assume, God has no role to play in all of this. It says, I'm the one who's doing it. Difficult to believe in. Difficult to believe in, but this is what the Quran is telling us. Then he moves on to the next one. وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ أَمَاتَ وَأَحْيَا. And he is the one who gives life and takes life away. If you want to see this verse of the Quran in action and how you and I are so close to death, but we don't see God's role in this death and life. The Quran says when you go to sleep, you die. This is what the Quran talks about. Surah Zumar. Yes? It says, Allahu yatawaffu al-anfusa hina mawtaha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes the souls away from them. Some who are supposed to get up the next day, we bring the soul back to them. So the only difference between death and sleep is when you are asleep, he has the soul come back. Death, he just holds on to it. That's the only difference. That's what the Quran says. But now you wake up from sleep. You woke up from sleep today. Yes? Unless I put you back to sleep. You woke up from sleep today. When your husband, wife, child, whatever the case might be, alarm comes and wakes you up. Just wake up. And you just open your eyes and you're awake again. Technically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, oh, I just gave you life again. I brought that soul back to you again. But do we attribute any of this process to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No. Say, my alarm went off, I woke up. And the Quran says, no, your alarm went off and God sent his soul back to you. There's a difference. I was part of the whole process. I'm part of everything you do. It's difficult for us to understand these things. Now, I will emphasize this, brothers and sisters. We're hearing about these concepts 1,400 years later. It's still difficult for us to grasp these things. How did a man living in the middle of the desert 1,400 years ago who was illiterate, how did he come up with this stuff? How did he just walk around one day and say, oh, there's a God, he's omnipotent, he's powerful, he's unlimited, he's a part of every single thing you do, even the things that you don't attribute. How did he come up with this? You know how many times our youngsters ask us, how do we know this faith of ours is truly the faith that I'm supposed to follow? How do I know it's the truth? I don't know. You tell me if you can come up with something like this. You studied in school, yeah? You went to school, At least many of us sitting here, at least we finished high school for the majority of us, maybe even middle school. Well, guess what? The Prophet didn't even go to school. You went to middle school. You have the technology of the 21st century at your disposal. Yeah? Can you put together some lines like this? Can you talk about the world in this fashion? Can you walk out of your house one day, take a deep breath, say, today is such a wonderful day. By the way, there's a God, He's unlimited, He's this, He's that. He's a part of everything you do. He's the one who gives life. He's the one who takes it away. He's the one who makes you smile. He's the one who makes you cry. He's the one this is this. Can you do that? Wa alaikum salam. I can't do that. And I studied in school. How did this prophet come up with these things when his people were drinking polluted water and they were eating lizards for lunch? This is a miracle. You and I cannot come up with these things. This is the Quran speaking to the reality of the world that we live in. He says, وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ أَمَاتَ وَأَحْيَا. He is the one who gives life. He is the one who takes life away. The verses continue, وَأَنَّهُ خَلَقَ الزَّوْجَيْنِ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنثَى. And He is the one who created the pairs of male and female, مِن نُطْفَةٍ إِذَا تُمْنَى, from a fluid that leaves the body. What is the miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the creation of the male and the female? How does He even do this? How is science baffled by how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been doing this for millions of years? Inshallah, that we will leave for the following weeks. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. وأن عليا حجة الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب. يا محسن قد أتاك المسيء أنت المحسن وأنا المسيء فتجاوز عن قبيح ما عندنا بجميل ما عندك يا كريم. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين. قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائما قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم ارزقنا توفيق الطاعة وبعد المعصية. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم ارزقنا توفيق الطاعة وبعد المعصية. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف. الله أكبر. بسم الله وبالله الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر، الله أكبر، الله أكبر.
الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا اللهم صل على
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم ارزقنا في الدنيا زيارة الحسين وفي الآخرة شفاعة الحسين. اللهم اكتبنا من زوار الحسين واجعلنا من الباكين في عزاء الحسين. اللهم احشرنا تحت لواء الحسين. اللهم احشرنا في زمرة الحسين. اللهم ادخلنا الجنة من باب الحسين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. صلوات.
اللهم
Mu'mineen, we have a few important events coming up, and This is just a reminder for those events. We have a Chai with Sheikh event this Sunday, March 4th, for brothers and sisters ages 28 and above, with the topic mixing Islamic practices with the self-help culture. On Tuesday, March 7th, inshallah, we will be celebrating the birth of our Imam Mahdi, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajahu. With a speech by Sheikh Amin Rastani. After the speech and niyaz, we have a fun activity plan. And after that, we will have Amal Nima Shaban, led by Sheikh Mahdi Rastani that evening. The next day, Wednesday, March 8th, we have a celebration here at CFK in collaboration with Anjuman Sher Khuda, celebrating the birth of our Imam Mahdi, Ajallallahu Ta'ala Farajhu Sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum. As always, event details are posted on our webpage, cfkdfw.org, where you can subscribe to our newsletter and our WhatsApp group. Jazakallah to all our sustaining members, donors, volunteers, and program sponsors for your contributions. If you are not a member, please consider becoming one by contacting our membership director, Brother Asif Patel. For opportunities to donate, sponsor programs, or help behind the scenes, please speak to myself or any of the existing volunteers. I would now like to request everybody to recite a Surah Fatiha for Marhum Sayyid Musa Raza Rizvi, son of Sayyid Ali Raza Rizvi, who passed away this past Saturday, and the Marhumin of Brother Mushtaq and family. Marhum Mukhtar Ali Makhraj, Marhuma Rubab Banu bint Haji Nanji, Marhum Khurram Raza Ali, Marhum Muhammad Ja'far, Marhum Shabab Ali Ghulam Hussain, and the Marhumin of Brother Sadiq Makhraj and family. Let us please include all our Marhumin and the Marhumin of the Ummah as well. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله ما صلى على أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله ما صلى على محمد وأن عليا حجة الله صلى الله عليه وسلم حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله استغفر الله ربي وأتوب استغفر الله ربي وأتوب
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम माशा अल्लाह ला हौला वला कुव्वता इल्ला बिल्लाहिल अलिय्यिल अज़ीम inshallah recite dua fahdar all together bismillahir rahmanir rahim la ilaha illallah ilahan wahidan wa nahnu lahu muslimun la ilaha illallah wa la na'budu illa iyyah mukhlisina lahu ad-din walau karihal mushrikun لا إله إلا الله ربنا ورب آبائنا الأولين لا إله إلا الله وحده وحده أنجز وعده ونصر عبده وعز جنده وهزم الأحزاب وحده وله الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت ويحيي وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى